to Pet's Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.
Ho, ho, ho. Well, it's a bit early, Des, but I don't care. I'm going to wish you and your family a very happy Christmas.
Thanks, Dave.
Des Groom from Gym Dog for Des the Vet joins us for A Pet's Life. How are you, my friend?
Great to be here. I'm in good form. All things considered, yeah.
And I've laid down the bribery, so it's going to be easy on me today with the
I'll
cakes.
be bringing home a few donuts to the team in Gym Dog. They'll be delighted to see the sweet stuff coming in. And they'll be even more delighted if I don't eat them all on the way home first.
Now, one thing, don't feed the animals.
No, not the donuts, no.
Oh, no.
Keep them for the staff, yeah.
Any questions for Des? We would love to hear any questions specifically on cat vaccinations or neutering, and I suppose anything to do with Christmas by way of issues that you may want to answer, or Des to answer in relation to puppies, dogs, kittens or cats. We would love to hear any pets at all. Do get in touch, 0833 97 97 97. But let's start, Des, on the subject of cats, vaccinations, because we're hearing about humans getting vaccinations.
Yeah.
Tell us about the cat story.
Yeah, do you know there's a range of cat diseases which can even cross from one species to another, and some of them are very serious because we have very few treatment options, which is why it's really important to vaccinate kittens and vaccinate every pet cat if you get a chance once a year.
Wow.
A range of viruses that we don't have really any cure for, any treatment for. And the problem with these viruses is they get into the feral cat population, and then you have a group of suffering wild and semi-wild cats who are getting no care. So there's two things about cats really that are very important, is neutering and population control. Right, keeping the numbers down. And secondly, do make sure and vaccinate them, because unlike dogs, for instance, right, where there isn't a wild dog species, naturally enough, right, but we have a symbiosis between wild cats and pet cats, because cats, I won't say they're semi-feral, but their wild instinct is stronger than a dog's wild instinct. So you do get a crossover of breeding and of communication and contact between wild cats and domestic cats. So you have a reservoir of these nasty diseases in the wild cat population. So we have to keep the wild cat population under control if we can, and then we have to vaccinate the pet cats. And if we do both of those together, then we're having an overall benefit in terms of improving the welfare and the quality of life of all cats.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Des, answer me this. Are getting kittens or cats, is it a popular thing at Christmas?
Yeah. Yeah, and there wouldn't be the same commercial element to it. So there are a few kind of fancy cat breeds, and the kittens are expensive. But most of the time, people can get a kitten free to a good home. So the local person and their cat has kittens, and they're just looking for a home for the kittens. So a kitten is a lovely pet for a very small family, for younger children.
Okay, first thing then, right, so Santa arrives Christmas morning. We have a lovely little bundle of joy, little cat. So what's the first thing people should do in relation to minding this kitten? Well,
ideally they don't want to get it and have it arrive Christmas Day. But if you're going to get one, it should arrive now, or it should arrive in January. Because if you need help and advice about feeding, nutrition, health, what vaccines it needs, then don't produce this bundle of fluff on days when the vets aren't open and even the pet shops aren't open to give you advice. So I would say that the Santa Claus kitten or the Santa Claus puppy is probably not a good idea. I'd avoid it, because you do need to put a bit of thought and planning into when you get an animal, and you also need to put a bit of thought and planning into whether you want this animal, and be set up to care for it properly and have it figured out already who's going to be at home and how is our routine as a family going to be impacted by the arrival of a kitten, and have we a routine in place to be able to feed it twice a day, clean its litter tray, remember to buy the food, remember to buy the cat litter, put a bit of thought and time into planning where to put its litter tray, where to put its food bowl and its water, where to put its bed and its basket, and get advice about all that. And do we need to have a cat flap so that it can come and go? Are we living on a dangerous road? Are we going to have to keep this kitten indoors, at least until it's big enough to fend for itself a little outside? Do the neighbours have cats as well? If they do, you bringing in a kitten mightn't be a good idea. Because if around housing estates where you know that there's a bunch of random cats in the area, and if you're not a cat person, then don't get a cat. Because if you bring a kitten into a busy house, say a busy housing estate, built up area, and there's loads of stray cats and loads of probably partially neglected cats already in the neighbourhood, then don't get a kitten unless you're a really bonded cat person who knows what to do.
Do you remember, well, I certainly remember years ago, Des, there used to be a mantra almost, a cat or a dog is not just for Christmas, it's for life.
Yeah.
Has that message got across?
That message has got across. There are far fewer, we say, Christmas puppies than there used to be, thankfully. Because the difficulty with the Christmas puppy is that oftentimes a Christmas present is an impulse purchase, you see. An impulse gift for somebody else. And like a lot of Christmas presents, we often get it wrong and we give each other the wrong present. So bringing a puppy or a kitten home without a lot of planning and thought mightn't be a good idea. So for that reason, because of the impulse buy issue, the impulse buy problem, then you have a scenario whereby by the middle of January or the beginning of February, this is a big burly puppy causing trouble around the house, and then the conversation starts in the house. Well, you brought in this dog and you should be training it, you should be putting the time into this, and I never wanted this, and who thought it was a good idea to give the kids a puppy?
Yeah,
and then the shelters fill up, you see, around February time, and the shelters are already too full, aren't they?
Well, that's what you'd hear, all right.
That's what you'd hear,
let's go to this one. JW was on to say, just wondering, does Des know why some cats have round pupils and others reptilian slit-type eyes? Seems strange.
That's a response to light. If you watch your own cat very closely, the pupils dilate dramatically in darker light, and they reduce to a slit very quickly in bright light. They are nocturnal hunters. They have better night vision than us. They have a much more noticeable dilation of the pupils than people do and than dogs do. So they see better than us at night. And their eyes dilate, and then they reduce to a slit in response to intense light.
JW, hopefully that sorts you out. Here's one that says, dog. Well, what Christmas food bad for dogs? Because you and I were discussing how we enjoy our Christmas dinner, but Christmas food in general?
The stuffing and the cranberry sauce is not good for dogs. Can cause tummy upsets, colic and diarrhoea because of the onions and because of the berries in the cranberry sauce. So typical leftovers like cranberry sauce and stuffing wouldn't be a good idea to give the dog. Bit of leftover turkey is okay, but again, if you give too much turkey, it'll cause colic, it'll cause problems. In older dogs, could cause a thing called pancreatitis. Turkey is a very rich, very high protein, it's very high in uric acid and tannins. So turkey is not a light meat. So giving a lot of it or too much of it to a dog, particularly an older dog, and particularly a dog that isn't used to it, it's not a good idea.
Overload. Des, just on the subject there now. So there you are on Christmas, and all of a sudden the dog actually indulges a bit too much on whatever. Yeah. And you're dying to get in touch. You're panicking because you do. Yeah, so what's the story with getting in touch with a vet? Yeah,
there is a weekend and nights and holiday veterinary service in the county called My Night Vet. So they do all the on-call, all of the practices in the county, feed in the small animal, the pet emergency work into My Night Vet. And they'll have vets and nurses there, usually a young team who are glad to work for double pay on Christmas Day and bank holidays and so on. So you have a select group of usually younger vets and younger vet nurses who like these night shifts because it gives them time off the rest of the time.
Yeah, because we have to address that now, because there'll always be one where there'll be panic in the household.
There's more than one. The fact that we have a boarding kennels, actually, I invariably find that I will end up seeing a couple of patients Christmas morning. So my routine, one of my traditions is I go into work on Christmas morning and I supervise and I help with the exercise and the feeding of our boarders. And I usually have 2 staff working a half day with me. And we compress it to 3 hours work. And we feed and water and walk and exercise our little group of boarders who are in over the holiday time. But invariably, because the gate is open and the lights are on, there will be people driving around looking for a vet. I've had to do all manners of work, from caesarean sections to looking after broken legs on Christmas morning. Yeah,
I was just thinking, like, some people would have the issue of batteries not included, but for a vet, at least you're there. That's lovely.
Yeah, as I say, I'm not supposed to be on call, but I'm feeding my boarders.
That's a vocation, my friend. That's a vocation.
It's not a job than it's more of a vocation than a job. It's not just a job, definitely.
Tim McGrath, no relation, says, how do I stop my cat from climbing up the Christmas tree? Crikey.
Yeah, you can't really.
That's what I thought.
Keep her out of the room.
Make sure the lights aren't on.
Make sure that's all. Just be careful she doesn't pull it down at night and cause a house fire.
On the subject of Christmas trees, Des, are pine needles from my tree harmful to my dog or indeed any animal?
Yes, because they get into the feet, they get into the paws, and they can cause nasty infections and can be difficult to get out.
Wow.
So I would be sweeping up. If you have a real tree, definitely do be sweeping up around underneath it on a regular basis.
Just going back, Des, to the vaccination programme, is there how can people get in touch with you now about vaccinations?
Give us a call at Kildare Vet Surgery or have a look on petslife.ie and you'll find an appointment facility there.
And is it just one course of it, or is there just...
Yeah, kittens are like puppies. They have to be vaccinated twice between 8 weeks and 12 weeks. They get 2 shots. And they're vaccinated against feline leukemia virus, feline Kalichi virus, feline coronavirus, feline enteritis virus. So there are 4. They're loosely termed cat flu, but because the clinical signs are like flu. But they're not. There's a Kalichi virus, an enteritis virus, a coronavirus and an immune deficiency virus.
And is this going back to what you were saying, that there is transmission between cats and humans with certain viruses?
That particular group, no, thankfully none of those are what we call zoonosis. So those 4 are not transmissible to people, no. There are other infections that are. The most common, obviously, is... We did a whole day here talking about zoonosis. So zoonosis is what it's called when a virus can jump from one species to another. And a reverse zoonosis is when a virus can jump from a human to an animal.
Well, I would have
and
thought
that can happen too, yeah.
That would be more severe, I would have thought.
Yeah. Like, there are all kinds of cases in history of viruses that have changed the course of civilization, that have resulted from the transfer of disease from humans to animals and vice versa. The Black Death, as was called, the bubonic plague, which decimated, I think, 50% of the population of Europe in the Middle Ages over a 100-year period. That was caused by a flea transmitted from a rat to humans.
A flea?
Yeah, a flea. Yeah, a flea. The bubonic plague, yeah. Rabies isn't the obvious one nowadays. Rabies still kills a couple of 100,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa per year in the world. Yeah.
Crikey, never knew
Absolutely.
that.
Now, we don't have rabies in Ireland.
Yeah, I thought it was eradicated.
Now, zoonotic diseases in the course of Irish history that had a dramatic effect on society: TB, TB and brucellosis. They were transmitted from livestock to humans. And, in the era pre-civilization, you can complain about modern Ireland, but we've progressed a lot in terms of our healthcare and infant mortality, and an awful lot of those. Infant mortality and stillbirths. Farmers' wives used to be terrified of working with pregnant cattle and pregnant sheep because of several diseases transmissible from pregnant cattle and sheep to pregnant women, pregnant females. Yeah.
Wow, I never knew that.
Farmers and vets and anyone who worked with cattle would often suffer from TB or brucellosis all their lives.
We've just a couple more I wanted to... what's the best food to leave out for Santa's reindeer?
Santa's reindeer. Yeah, we used to leave out Santa's reindeers. The mince pie. Mind you, I never knew whether the reindeer or the Santa ate the pie. I wasn't sure about that.
Ciara Phelan, there's your answer. And Des, because we're just coming up near the end now, I know we're going to be here next week. Next week, is there anything you want to plan ahead?
I'll be here next week, yeah.
No, yeah,
absolutely.
Is there anything that you want people to think about?
Okay, so we'll talk about Christmas poisons.
Oh.
Right, because that's a good one. We did the same at Halloween. So I'm going to look at that range of food that's in the house around Christmas time, and I'm going to pinpoint the things that can be harmful to animals, to your cats and to your dogs. And we'll talk about the ones that are very, very poisonous and the ones that are less so. So,
super.
Yeah,
okay.
So poisons are not enough. Like mince pies now, for instance, right? Mince pies can cause diarrhoea, gastroenteritis. Currants and raisins are mildly toxic to dogs. There you go.
Can't wait already. Now, before we go,
yeah,
I always have and then finally question for you, Des.
Okay.
My good friend.
Right.
And today's one is, what's your favourite Christmas movie?
My favourite Christmas movie. Well, I could talk about Die Hard, or I could talk about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, etc., etc. But the one that has a particular place in my heart is the old Jimmy Stewart black and white movie. It's a wonderful.
Fabulous,
it's a Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life,
yeah. It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. That resonates with me, and I've found myself, if it's on TV, I invariably get suckered in and watch it again. Yeah.
Clarence and the Angel.
Clarence the Angel. Every time you hear a bell ring, you know an angel has gotten his wings.
It is a wonderful life. I'm really looking forward to next week already, but thank you so much for this week. I think we covered all that you wanted to, Des, about the vaccinations and the neutering.
Yeah, now we're running a promotion until the end of 2024. Cat neutering and cat male and female castrations are half price till the end of 2024. And that's our little effort to try and keep the spring kitten numbers down.
You are a legend.
The half price cat neuters till the end of the year. Book it now, folks.
Des Groom from Jim Dog. Thank you so much as always.
Cheers, Dave.
Absolute pleasure. Take care.
It's a pet's life with Jim Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit a petslife.ie.